Alright, got my notes. Let's get this review over with.
Can I be in the review, Corey?
No, not again. Damn it.
Of course again, Corey.
Can you just leave me alone? I mean, seriously, is it that hard to do?
No, but it's fun to be around you, Corey.
Well, I guess I'm honored, but seriously, I'm trying to take care of this, October,
It's October? Oh, that's my favorite time of the year.
It's not October. No, it's November. It's November 1st.
What?
You missed Halloween. Where were you?
Dang it, voices, you were supposed to remind me. I can't rely on you for any. Don't check your phone, damn it.
Yeah, don't check your phone.
I'm talking to you, voices. Listen, as you can tell, they still won't listen to me.
Well, they don't listen to me either.
That's the problem, they listen to you more than me.
Yeah, but it's few and far between, I'll tell you that much. But I guarantee you, it is November 1st.
Dang it. How did I miss October? Voices, you were supposed to remind me. What? Wait a minute. Well, the phone. It is October, you bastard.
It's not October.
I can see the calendar behind you.
What calendar?
Ah!
I can explain that. It's out of date.
Then why is there a smiley face on it with a circle around it?
I don't know what you're doing, but you need to stop this bullshit.
Well, if you're going to do a review in October, you need the background for it. A white wall, really? It's so unprofessional.
It's the best I got. I mean,
come on, you can do better than this.
I'm a broke college student. Think if I could afford one, I would?
You might have a point. Okay. I'll help you out.
Oh, shit. What the hell?
How's this for a backdrop, Corey?
Where the fuck am I?
Oh, one of the happiest places in the world. One I've spent a good deal of my childhood at. The morgue.
Oh god, the smell.
Isn't it enticing, Corey?
You know, you could have put me in a different location, a better, more exotic place. I don't know, cemetery or something. A morgue? Really?
Yes, right. It seems to be getting the desired effect. Shut up, voices. Yes, I couldn't afford a cemetery. I know, damn it. Shut up. We could have one if we didn't have to pay your phone bills.
Just leave me alone.
Never. I'm having too much fun. Besides, I owe you.
You owe me. What does that even mean?
For what happened after you escaped. Remember? No, wait. You weren't there.
Guess I'll just have to work in these conditions.
The show must go on. Isn't that right?
If you say so. Alright, guys. What's up, guys? This is Corey. Welcome to CNA Films and Animation. I am being held hostage by the entity, or rather the person known as the Slayer. Yeah.
I'm not holding you hostage. You're free to go whenever you want.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. Just remember, I'll always be with you.
There's no doors in here. How could I? The hell's that coming from? Oh, what the hell? Excuse me, guys, I think I see a door. What's this door? The hell?
Hey man, ready to do the review? It's an old versus new of Night of the Living Dead, right?
Where the hell am I?
You're in your room, dude. Well, of course. Why do you think I'm knocking on the door?
Do you see this around me?
See what? What are you talking? Nope, no, 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 no.
Where are you going?
I said I review bad movies with you. I am not doing it anymore. Nope.
See what the Slayer does? Come back, seriously.
No. There is a brain on the counter. No.
Well, looks like I'm at it by myself, guys. One is the loneliest number that there ever was.
Two can be as bad.
God damn it! Well, guys, I'm not really alone, I guess, but the show must go on. So today we are going to be reviewing on CNA Films and Animation an old versus new of Night of the Living Dead. Yes, the 1968 film that was released 45 years ago today, October 1st. And so we're going to look at Night of the Living Dead from 1968, which was George A. Romero's film, and then we're going to take a look at the 1990 film directed by Tom Savini. So before I get into today's review, I wanted to share with you guys a slight history of the original 1968 film Night of the Living Dead. The film basically was conceived by George A. Romero and his friend, and John Russo, both co-wrote the film, and this film has a bit of a history. So George A. Romero was working with a couple of his friends, John Russo and Russell Striner. They both had this filming company of sorts, and they decided that they wanted to make a horror movie. This was about 1966, 1967 roughly, and they wanted to make it similar to the bizarre films that were coming out at the time. So George A. Romero wrote 3 drafts. First draft focused heavily on the idea that this alien extraterrestrial being or substance was causing these humans to go around killing people, more or less. And, decided to scrap that idea. They moved to a second draft, which, second draft basically followed a young man who runs away from home and comes across a bunch of rotted corpses that these aliens use for food across like this meadow or something. And so finally he scrapped that and moved toward this idea that the dead come to life and won't stay dead. Romero took a lot of inspiration from both Richard Matheson's I Am Legend and the film Carnival of Souls. I Am Legend, he pretty much saw some parallels in the story. He took a lot of elements from I Am Legend and put them into this film. But he wanted to make his own twist of things, so instead of using vampires, he used zombies. And instead of starting at the end of this revolution, he decided to start at the beginning. As you know, in I Am Legend, the main actor, or the main star, the main character, is the last man alive, and he's trying to survive these vampires. And so Romero decided that he was going to show kind of the same perspective, but at the beginning of this giant turn of events. So that's kind of where Night of the Living Dead kind of fell into. The filmmakers decided to film in Pennsylvania, and they basically took over this house that was going to be demolished and used it for filming. Basically, the owners of the house were like, yeah, do whatever you want with it because it's going to get destroyed anyway, so go for it. So they were able to do all the stuff that they needed to do, like board up doors and stuff to the windows and everything, and they were able to do it. No problems whatsoever. When it came to the casting, the role for the main character of Ben was given to Dwayne Jones, an African-American man who basically just gave the best performance, best audition. Romero, didn't really think much about the cultural backlash that could potentially bring, especially for 1968. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, so was Malcolm X. They both were both strong African-American leaders in the civil rights movement. And so with their assassinations, it was risky, basically, putting an African-American man in the lead role. But George A. Romero didn't really see any problems with it, and the film was not written for any specific gender. In fact, the film was the character was supposed to be a simple man who drives a truck and is basically kind of a mean-spirited person who is not necessarily fully intelligent or anything. And George A. Romero changed that on the spot for Dwayne Jones because Dwayne Jones was actually a very intelligent man. In fact, he was a very professional man. He had a very studious personality and everything. And so he changed the script on the spot for Dwayne Jones, just so he could be in the film. After the film's release, it received a lot of backlash from both religious groups and from critics. A lot of people felt that this was a very disturbing film that went too far in many areas, especially with the ideas of cannibalism, the ideas of depicting graphic violence in film, especially there's a scene in the film where a young girl kills her mother, and that created a lot of backlash from many people, especially for the time. So there's that, and then also there was the fact that the MPAA had not been made yet. The film came out in October 1st, 1968. The MPAA was made in November 1st, 1968. It came out a month before the MPAA came into existence. Many little children came to see the show, and Roger Ebert, the infamous film critic who recently passed away in April, once said that he was in a screening of seeing this film, and he remembers that there was a little girl about 9 years old who was sitting there watching the film and in tears because she was so terrified of what she was seeing. This was something that was different. The kids had seen horror movies, they'd seen movies and everything, but this was something on a new level. And he brings up some good points in what he says, especially toward the fact that the main star of the film does die. The hero of the film is killed, and for little kids who see film as, kind of an alternate reality in a way, they don't really distinguish the fact that what they see on screen is not real, I guess, is seeing their hero basically get killed. And that's tragic, for them. it's sad for us, but it's tragic for them. So, he brings up some good points in what he says there, but going into the actual story and the movies, film follows Barbara and Johnny. They're visiting one of their parents' graves. In the 1968 film, they're visiting their father's grave. In the 1990 film, they are visiting their mother's grave. In the 1968 film, Johnny's joking around and everything. He doesn't want to be there, and he says one of the most infamous lines in horror movie history, "They're coming to get you, Barbara," which then all hell breaks loose. Someone attacks Johnny, killing him, and chases Barbara through the woods until she stumbles onto a house where she goes into the building and takes refuge there. Then the character Ben shows up in a truck, and he pretty much takes over right away. And he finds out there are a few people living in the house, or at least staying hidden in the house. An older man who has a wife and a daughter. The daughter is sick. She's been bitten. And two young people, a guy and a girl, and they are all trying to stay in the house. They're boarding it up, and they are trying to take refuge. And they're trying to survive the night. And, the zombies, they take over. People start dying one by one, and then the ending happens, which basically in the original film, Ben's the only survivor, and he has survived the night. There's a group of white individuals who are going around shooting the zombies in the head. Ben kind of looks out the window, and they shoot him, killing him. And they shoot him in the head, killing him, which leaves the hero dead. And that's kind of where it ends. They show some stilled images of them moving the body and lighting the bodies on fire. And that's the end of the film. And it's kind of a dark and dreary ending. The 1990 remake basically showcases Barbara. She is the only survivor in this film, and she's just kind of walks out, and she is the survivor. That's kind of how it ends. This film can be perceived in many different ways. First off, you have a black man who is the lead in the film, and there is conflict. There's a little bit of racist conflict, especially between a character named Harry, who is the father of the little girl, and basically they butt heads. Harry wants to stay down in the basement and lock himself in. Ben wants to stay up above so that way he can keep control of everything. And basically, there's racist tension. The African American guy dies due to people shooting and everything. So there's that element. There's some other elements that people have brought up in different theories and theses and stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and delve into the comparisons of these films and see which film I think is better. First category that we have is story. Which film tells the story better? With this film, both have very similar stories. Well, in fact, they are the same story, but they are told differently. The original film, like I said, the main star is Ben, and he rises to the occasion and is ultimately killed. Barbara, in the 1990 film, basically takes over. She's kind of the female lead, and she holds strong until the very end where she survives. Honestly, I like the story a little bit better in the 1968 film, mainly because it gives more of a feeling of dread throughout. In fact, it's told so well that you feel like there's no hope anymore. And so I think that the story is told a little bit better in the 1968 film. So point to Night of the Living Dead, point to Romero. Now we move on to the acting. The acting in both films is pretty good. However, I will say that the acting for the 1990 film seemed to be a little bit cartoonish at points. You know, I think the woman who played Barbara, she did an alright job, but for the most part, I think she could have done better. You know, there's some times where I felt like she was laughing and not kind of in hysterics or anything. And so I felt that the characters were more believable in the 1968 film than they were in the 1990 film. So point to Romero again. Special effects. So the special effects in both films are really good. 1968, the budget was very low. In fact, it was like $100,000 or less for the entire making of the film, and so a lot of the special effects that they had to do, because the film was in black and white, they had both like pieces of ham and chocolate sauce to depict, you know, zombies eating flesh or blood, stuff like that. And it works for it, especially for a black and white film. The special effects in the colorized film, for the 1990 film, does also a good job. You know, it looks real. It looks very well done, very well executed, and it looks a little more realistic. And it's possible because it was in color, but I don't really think so. I think it just does a little bit of a better job. So point to Tom Savini's. Now we move on to makeup. The makeup in this film, well, both films, are really well done. However, Tom Savini, he is a special effects makeup artist, and personally, I think he is a fantastic makeup artist. All of the stuff that he's ever done just looks amazing, and that does not fall short with this film. The zombies in this film are very well done. A little cartoonish at times, but very well done. The zombies in the 1968 film looked a little more authentic, a little more real. So based off that, I'm going to say Romero. However, Tom Savini's is still really good. So I'm not going to do ties, but I will give it Romero's the slight edge on that one, but still, Tom Savini is very good. Now we move on to the score. The music for both films is alright. Both really are kind of just kind of average scores. In fact, I read that the 1968 film had music that was used in several other pieces of film. For example, a lot of the music came from public domain, stuff like that, so they used a lot of that score for the film. And it works for it. It's kind of an eerie soundtrack, and it's slightly memorable. It makes you jump a couple of times, so it works on that level. The Tom Savini film, honestly, the soundtrack was just kind of generic. It wasn't bad, but it just wasn't that great either. If you disagree with me, that's fine, but I feel like the original had a better score for what it was going with. So, point to Romero. Now we move on to the villain, which depicts the villain. Well, with Night of the Living Dead, the villain really isn't the zombies. You would think it is, but it really isn't. It's kind of the people inside the house and the social conflicts that they have with each other. And, you know, like, I guess this kind of goes back to the acting, but I think that the dynamics, the relationships, and the conflicts that happen between all the characters is done better in the Romero film, so point goes to Romero. Now, which film is, quote, scarier? To be scary is very subjective. A lot of films don't scare me. In fact, I wouldn't necessarily say Night of the Living Dead scares me very much. However, I will say that on a humanistic level, I will say that Night of the Living Dead, the Romero version, is a little scarier. It's a little more believable, and you know, it's one of those things where it's kind of something that you don't want to happen, but in a way it is possible to happen without actually being possible to happen as far as we know. But you know, if the zombie apocalypse was to happen, I kind of imagine Romero's version to be a little more precise, mainly because the zombies in Tom Savini's just look too fake to be zombies, if that makes any sense. But still, I think Romero's film is a little scarier, mainly because it's in black and white, and it's told just a little bit better. So, Romero's. And so, if we go to our overall vote, both films are good. In fact, I would say Romero's is one of the best horror movies out there. Tom Savini did a really good job. He tried his best, and while it doesn't fulfill a lot of the stuff that Romero's does, it's still a good installment in the kind of remake genre. So with that, I mean, I do recommend Tom Savini's version, but I do feel that the film is better told in black and white, and I also feel that it has a stronger meaning in the 1968 film than it does in the 1990 film. But that's just my opinion. So I'm going to say George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead is the winner tonight, but that does not mean that either film is better than the other or anything like that. This is just my opinion, and you know, your opinion is as valued as it is as mine is. So be sure to share your thoughts on both films. What you think of them? Did you like them? Did you dislike them? What you think of, you know, just kind of the elements of Night of the Living Dead, George A. Romero's version. What you think of Tom Savini's film? Anything at all, comment below, let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback. If you guys like this video, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe. Be sure to check out our other videos. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. If you have any movie suggestions or TV suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And as always, I am Corey, and I will see you guys in the next one.
I'll see you too, audience.